Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of entrepreneurs, founders, and innovators. Each week, I have the privilege to speak with founders across the spectrum, founders from different industries at different various stages, from startups to mature businesses, all shapes and sizes. We get to listen, our listeners get to hear the real, the raw, the unvarnished viewpoints, getting incredible insights on what it takes to start and scale a business, become a better founder, become a better CEO, or just becoming a better business leader. Today, so I'm excited to have on our show today. We've got Mandy Jo Squires. She is the founder of Creative Slingers of Ink, which is, I love the name. I love it. Welcome to Hello Chaos, Mandy. Mandy Jo. Mandy Jo Squires. All right. Welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear all about the Creative Slingers of Ink and how you came up with that name and started that business. But why don't you just start us out? Tell our listeners what got you into entrepreneurship and starting your own company. And I don't think this is the first one.
No, this is not the first company. I've been doing some kind of business, for a while, since probably the mid 90s.
Oh, you were like, I can not go work for anybody else.
I've tried. I did contract work. I was a Kelly Services secretary for many years because then I was on assignment. I skipped from here to there and met a lot of good people along the way.
Yeah. So what inspired you to start Creative Slingers Inc? Creative Slingers of Ink, excuse me.
Which those of us in the group, we just call it CSI.
Oh. I love it.
It's so much easier. CSI.
Yeah.
And yes, it was when I was naming CSI, I actually put my favorite shows, CSI and NCIS, and what names could I come up with that fit in the acronym? So yes, CSI was on purpose.
Okay.
And it was just, I had been in another writing group. Things went awry.
Okay. Talk about, what do you mean by that? Like as in, like Fight Club?
There was drama that I didn't know there was drama of. And then there was the fallout, and it was like, oh, I guess I'm out. I had no intentions of leaving that group. I absolutely loved the group. I loved all the people in the group. So I was just like stunned.
Wow.
And then
what did they do? Start like meeting and not telling you where to meet? Like how did you?
We'd actually gone on a different business convention, and the one lady called and said, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm like, I'm in the middle of packing right now. And I was literally like in the middle of packing. It wasn't just a phrase. I was physically putting things in the luggage. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but my attention is not with you. So I'm going to grasp about every fifth or sixth word. And I really didn't give it any more thought. She goes, okay, just give me a call when you get back. I'm like, okay, that'll be sometime Tuesday. I don't know when. And I didn't give it another thought. Well, then Monday comes, she tries to call me. I'm on the road. I do not take phone calls. They better be dire emergencies for me to take a phone call when I'm on the road with my husband in the car. I love the road trip. I love being with him in the car. And it's like, no. I'm not taking this call. So I let it go to voicemail. She didn't leave it. She said, give me a call when you get in. I said, okay. Yeah. And then Tuesday comes and she tries again, and I'm still on the road, not home yet. And I'm like, I will give her a call tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. She gives me a call first thing, no voicemail. That's interesting. Okay, so I try to call her back. I go to voicemail. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'll see you tonight, because that night I was doing a writing session.
Okay.
I went to get into the writing session, I was locked out.
Literally.
Literally. So I called a friend of mine and I said, I can't get in. Can you did they send a new thing out? Let me send it. So she sent it to me because at this point, her and I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And I went to get in, and of course, Zoom has you go into this waiting room, and she would never let me in. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So there was some political politics going on that I was unaware of.
Is it because you, as I'm assuming, this is a club of writers?
Yep.
How to elevate yourself, how to, and then
Yep.
to get published. Is that what the
goal was for people to self-publish or use her or one of the other gals as a publisher or self-publish. And it was great. I loved the group. I had no intentions of leaving.
Right.
And then she said, no, you're out. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Without
now,
any...
as I sat back and I looked over the past few months, I should have seen it coming.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I had no intentions of leaving.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, whatever. And took a step back and finally went and said, okay, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
And got the name, got everything else set.
When one door closes, a window
and the funny thing is that then I'm not looking for a group. I am looking for book signing events.
Ah, okay.
So I was at an arts and crafts show at a library. And at this library, nobody did very well. Typically, authors don't sell very well at libraries because people go to libraries for free books, not to buy them.
Correct. Yeah.
And even at the arts and crafts show, the only one that did well that day was this adorable little 10-year-old that had these cute little drawings. And he was absolutely adorable. But on the other side of him was a gal with a coffee shop. I had met this gal at many events, and I overheard her say that she was doing pop-ups in her coffee shop. I'm like, ooh, can I come do a book signing?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, why don't you come by the shop? Because I'd never, even though I had met her and we got along and all that, it's a coffee and tea shop. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. So I'm like, I have no reason to go in.
Right.
What I didn't realize was that they had awesome lemonades and hot cocos and wonderful snacks. And so
perfect to read a book.
So when I went over there and I found this out and I saw the size of the shop, I said, hey, can I bring friends? I've got some friends. We're doing this other program right now. We've got these little 2x4 folding tables that we can bring in and sell our books. And she's like, certainly. We'll even give people that buy your books 10% off their purchases that day, excluding catering. And I'm like, great. Can I put a sign up? Yes, you can. Wonderful. I put this little 8.5 by 11 horizontal sign up that said which authors were going to be here, what date, what time, what they write. And all of a sudden I started getting emails from Karen, the owner of the shop. So-and-so would like to be a part of your book signings.
Oh, my God.
And I kept getting these. And so it just snowballed. It's like we went from the four of us to having a rotation. And then I'm like, I can't do this for free anymore. I need to start charging people because of all the work I'm doing behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
I'm creating the Facebook event. I'm doing all their graphics. I'm doing all the advertising. And it was a nominal cost. It was like $10.
Yeah.
And
you got to start somewhere.
Exactly. And then it's like, okay, we're going to go from there. And fast forward, we decided that we're going to up and add some things to it. We have virtual writing sessions. And so we added a little more cost to it. People freaked out every time we added the cost. And then everything was going really well. We were moving right along. And then we decided that we were going to move.
How did that go?
Oh, that went over just fantastic. They freaked out. I have a gal that goes to all of the events in person. So the in-person events are still going on. I got married in the process.
Oh my goodness.
So we got married last May, and we moved 2 weeks later from Michigan to South Carolina.
You're not supposed to do that, Mandy.
Haven't
you heard that?
They freaked. I mean, it was like the mass exodus because they're like, oh my goodness, we can't, what's going on?
Oh.
You know, and I'm like, you do realize that most of our stuff takes place online.
Just got to comfort people.
We have an online community. We have virtual writing sessions. I can be anywhere.
Yeah.
And so when we moved, it was like, okay, now we're going to take this from a hobby to a business. And
what was that transition like?
It's been interesting because I had to figure out and navigate South Carolina stuff. What do I need to do? How am I doing all of that? And so that's been an interesting journey because South Carolina is so different from Michigan. As far as Michigan, you can pretty much set up and sell anywhere in Michigan. And South Carolina, you've got to look at what's the county say, what's that city say.
So a lot more little regulations that you got to just be aware of. Okay.
Yeah. And so,
how did you navigate? Was there a resource that you used to navigate those things? Like,
I actually went on to the state of South Carolina's website and did research. What am I going to do? How am I going to do an LLC? How am I going to, what do I need to do? And just navigated through it, read everything line by line. I mean, I highly recommend people do that anyways, but reading documents and then pausing and then rereading them is so important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a journey because now when I was up in Michigan, because my husband has a separate business that's completely different, it was really hard for me because everybody assumed I was part of his business. So we made a conscious effort when we came down here. Okay, everyone's going to know. And in fact, most of the time when I introduce myself, I don't even use my last name during events so that it doesn't automatically lump us together in that way. And so we've joined chambers, we've joined networking groups, and really got the ball rolling. I did farmers markets and arts and crafts shows, and just to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And then we added in-person writing sessions down here. And
where do you hold those, in bookshops or
actually at the
Chick-fil-A? At the Chick-fil-A? Oh,
at the Chick-fil-A. Go figure. We're in the South. We're holding a writing session at the Chick-fil-A.
Need to do that. Got to be done over chicken.
Right? So we gather at 6:30 for dinner, and then at 7 we start writing. We go until close at 9. The Chick-fil-A that we're at is it's the one on Pelham Road in Greenville, and we get the front room. So it used to be their children's play area.
Yeah.
and they turned it into a room that you can rent, and they're not charging us anything. They just want us to
Oh,
buy a meal.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I can
That's
do that all
perfect.
day long.
That's right. So what's been the most rewarding part of this journey? And going from a hobby to now you're a real LLC, you've got online community, you've got in person. Like, what's been the most rewarding part of that?
I would say actually most recently is when one of my writers that she decided she was going to come out, her husband gave her my information and she came out to my writing sessions and she is now publishing her book.
Oh, fantastic.
That is my goal.
That
Having other people get to the point where they can publish. And she's been writing for a while. She's got a 7-book series. She's got 2.5 books written. And so she came out and she needed that extra push. And what direction do you go in? How
yeah.
do I find an editor? How do I find an editor that's not going to scam me? Because this is my biggest
Yeah.
thing
Because
is,
I've heard that's a big,
oh,
lot of
it's
scammer has been,
huge.
yeah.
The scammers are out in full force.
Hmm.
Um,
How do you
trying,
find what how do you find the legit ones? Like, what advice do you have, or have you built like a network of real editors?
that's exactly what we're working on is building the network of real editors.
Mm,
And so that is a slow process because
yeah.
I don't want the scammers. I actually had someone, when I went to publish my first book, I had someone call me and he must have looked up my profile and really looked at my LinkedIn profile. And he's like, well, I published so and so's book and
Mm.
he got to the New York Times bestseller list. And I'm like, I worked for so and so and I know how he got to that list and you weren't a part of it, dude. I'm like, and oh yeah, by the way, can you send me $5,000 and I'll
Yeah.
no.
Is that like the big no-no of
Yeah.
you don't pay? Because I've heard that, like if somebody says, "Oh, pay me X, we'll get you published," and I've heard don't um don't do that. That's a sign of a scam. Is that
Yes.
true? Okay.
Yes. Those are vanity presses. So there's
Okay.
different types of presses. There's print on demand, which is where you're self-publishing and you're only uploading your book to their site. So KDP, Lulu Publishing, Draft to
Okay.
Digital, Ingram Sparks, you're uploading. They do not charge you to upload to their site.
Okay.
The only time they charge you is if you get a proof copy and you
Mm,
only pay for the printing of the proof copy.
gotcha.
So that's like $10 depending, 10, $20 depending on the size of your book.
Yeah.
Plus shipping. And so there's that print on demand where you're
Mm.
self-published. And then there's vanity presses. Vanity presses will promise you the moon, seriously, and charge you. I personally had people asking 5K, but that was back in 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing people getting caught up in things where they're doling out 30 grand.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. First of
Unnecessary.
all,
Yeah.
nobody needs a ghostwriter. That's
Yeah.
what editors are for. You write it, they pretty it up.
Mm.
You can find reliable editors. I have a couple editors that I can send people to. And one of those editors also has other editors that she can say, oh, this is a good one. So we're
Right.
collecting those. But also, you can go on like Readsy and different platforms and actually get real editors.
Mm.
Fiverr, you really have to watch out for. You
Yeah.
really have to research them. I'm not saying that they're all bad. because there are some good people on Fiverr, but you really have to weed through them.
Yeah.
And if someone's
Just with
going to,
anything, just with it, like
yes,
when you hire anybody.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And even at that, you're not guaranteed. Even if you get something, like I had someone that did some graphics for me, and I
Mhm.
loved the way they turned out. I went to go back to them years later. It was like 4 or 5 years later, and they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
You know, I mean, COVID was in there, so I don't know what happened
Right.
because I had the designs done pre-COVID. So I
Right.
don't know what happened along the way. But yeah, I mean, so you have to really learn to pivot. You know,
Mm.
oh, okay. Um, yeah, I've heard too many stories, and lately the number seems to be 30K.
Wow.
And no,
And that's just for editing and someone publishing. Are they promising, oh, for that you'll get on the New York Times? As is it like these lofty promises
there are
of things?
lofty promises, and what they don't tell you is that, um, well, there's only about 5 traditional publishers that are left. There used to be
Mm.
quite a few more. But
Yeah.
as that number shrinks, that means your chance of getting traditionally published is going to be less and less
Yeah.
because it's fewer companies vying for a big pool of people.
Right.
And
Well,
who are they going to take their chance on?
and I think with, everybody's their own media platform,
Yeah.
um, I think it's easier to kind of go to market maybe. I don't know, hard.
Well, and the biggest thing is that one thing that authors have to know is that not only are you publishing, but just because you put your book up on Amazon does not mean you're going to be a bestseller and people are going to come to it.
Right.
My friend and I refer to it, she's always referred to it as the field of dreams concept. That is so false. Just because you publish a book does not mean people are going to buy it.
That's
You
right.
have to tell people that you wrote this
You
book, and
gotta you gotta
you
invest it
yeah,
into yourself and it's a product just like anything
yes.
else. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to tell people that you wrote it. Um, I mean, I publish all I when my first 3 books came out, I was on social media all the time letting people know. And I still get family members that go, "Oh, you wrote a book?" And they're on my social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in between the other comments that you were commenting on.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Well, what's your genre of writing? Are you a business book writer? Are you a science? Like a sci-fi? Since with CSI, you know,
Actually,
the
I haven't figured out what I want to be when I
dramedy.
grow up yet. So my first book was actually a self-help book, and it was because I was training walkers to go from anywhere from a 5K up to a full marathon.
Wow.
And I kept getting the same questions over and over. So I wrote a book answering those questions, put it in the story format because nobody wants to read the training manual.
Right.
I've written them and I don't want to read them. So this way it was easy to read, it was fun to read, and I incorporated part of my story into it. Um, my second book was actually fantasy,
Oh.
complete. I used all of the characters. I don't think I left anybody out. I hand drew the maps at the back of the book. Um, so that was fun. And then my third book is actually time travel with historical fiction in it. Is based on my great grandfather when he and his brother came to the US from Germany
Mm,
through the port of Antwerp, and there's multiple time hops throughout it.
that sounds fun. I love that.
And I'm working on something that's I don't even know where to classify it as. I know that it falls into fantasy part way because it does have dragons in it, but other than that, I'm gonna let my editor friend tell me
Let him
where
figure it out.
and go, girl, you got to figure this out. I don't know what genre to put in. I know it goes in the fantasy realm because there's there's different realms and there's dragons
Right.
and there's magic, but other than that,
So, how did you well, I should say when you've kind of launched this business and now it's an LLC, were there myths that you had or that you were thinking this is what it's like to run a business, and now that you're in it, you're like, they lied. Have you had any of those moments?
well, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
I work a ton of hours. I do a lot of behind the scenes work.
Mm.
Um, Coordinating events is not easy because that's part of the
Oh,
biggest part
yeah.
of what we
So many
do.
details. Yeah.
Um, and the biggest one is now we're coordinating events. I still have events in Michigan, even though I'm in South Carolina now.
Well, of course.
So we have
Can't
a,
abandon your first community.
you can't, and I won't. So, um, we've got the small events. We have a large event coming up in June. We're going to have like about 50 tents
Mm.
and
Is
some of those will have multiple authors in them.
is that going to be based in South Carolina or
That
Michigan
one is going to be up
or
in No.
Vegas?
That one is actually going to be in Novi, Michigan.
Okay.
So, and we are going to have our first South Carolina book festival in the fall in October. I'm so looking forward to it. And that's going to
Nice.
be 32 authors. It's an indoor event. It's going to be at the historic Greer Depot, which I think is a gorgeous place.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
Beautiful
that's a nice
setting.
place. Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting because I'm meeting all new people. I mean, some of my Michigan people are coming down. At least one of them. I have at least one Michigan
you
person.
can you can get them to come down. It's summertime here. That'll be fun.
Well, in October, it's still pretty nice weather,
Hmm.
especially compared to Michigan.
Yeah.
We can, we'll be indoors. There is an outdoor event going on downtown at the same time, so we're gonna have lots of foot traffic
Yeah.
downtown. So it's
Curious
just,
people. Yeah.
yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. But I guess the hardest part was I didn't realize how hard it would be coordinating events out of state. So, like for our June event, the venue hasn't dealt with somebody else doing an event there,
Mm.
and trying to get measurements. I had to send one the gal that actually helps me with my smaller coffee shop events. Um, she went to the new venue and did all the measuring for me because that's something that I would have done on my own.
Yeah.
But I needed to know how many can we put tents there?
That's right.
How
You
many
got to
can we
delegate
fit?
that stuff.
So yeah, so that has been definitely a learning curve in just figuring out where is a good place to put those advertising dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what's been the have you hit like an oh shit moment yet? I mean, I'm not talking about the everyday challenges, but like a oh no, was that the big move of like, babe, we're moving to
Well,
another state, or when you got down here, you were like, like what has happened? Have you had any? And you might not. We've talked to other founders who are like, I'm in it right now.
I don't think I've had that ultimate moment because I always knew that I was moving out of Michigan. It
Mm,
was a matter of when, not if. Um, and so we knew that was coming. Things rolled amazingly faster than I thought they would.
yeah, those are good.
So
Those are good things.
we
Ooh,
had gotten engaged between Christmas and New Year's
oh,
last year
okay. In Michigan.
in Michigan. And then we came down here in January just to look around. Of course, the apartment that we liked was ready. We weren't. And I'm like praying, going, oh, come on. So the apartment would only hold for 30 days. So it's like, great. So we had to figure out a wedding date. We wanted to get married in Michigan because that's where all of our friends were and family. So we set a date. And as that date kept getting closer, I am stalking the apartment complex's website. I mean, literally, I'm going like
Don't
every
lose
day.
it.
Don't lose. And so about 2 weeks out, I'm like, they're only going to hold it for 30 days. It's still available. How long do we want to risk it? And so the biggest thing was we wanted to make sure that my married last name was on the paperwork
Oh, yeah.
instead of my maiden name. And so we let the apartment complex know we're getting married on May 4th. We need, this is what we need.
Right.
And they were so good.
Nice.
They were so good. And so we're like, okay, May 15th it is. We'll move in on May 17th. We left, so we got married on May 4th. Oh, yeah. Did I mention that we had a spring book festival at the beginning of April?
You just got to pack it in.
So, book festival in April, then get married 4 weeks later. 2 weeks later, pack up and move multiple states away.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So that was
that's a little bit of a oh shit there.
Yeah. I mean, it was just and then 2 weeks later we went back to Michigan for my dad's 80th birthday. So it was just rolling one thing after another. And and then September we had a couple big events that we had, and then November we had the go back to Michigan for another book festival and Thanksgiving. So about Christmas time is when I go, okay, I've got too much spare time. We're going to add in a monthly book cover contest.
Right. What can 2025 bring?
And that's what we did. So 2025, we launched our monthly book cover contest because clearly I didn't have enough to do.
Right. But you got to keep feeding the community. Yeah.
Well, and there's the thing. It's like the biggest thing that I've seen out there is that most of the contests that you enter, you have to pay something. And some of them are pretty high priced.
Yeah.
If you want to get your book in there. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so every month we have a different genre that's featured. February is, of course, romance. And we go through the book covers and they submit them. And it's free for the authors. It's free for the voters. It's just getting their book cover out there.
Right. It's getting the excitement.
And
yeah.
And getting that excitement, getting that exposure.
So, if you could change 2 things about your business right now, like, boom, magic wand, what 2 things would you change?
I would love to fast forward to where I'm making serious money to where I can have staff to do some of the things that I'm sure there's things that I can let go of.
Yeah.
Although I'm a type A personality, so I'm not sure if that's truly possible.
It is possible. It is possible. You just gotta build the playbook of how to do it Mandy Jo's way.
Right?
Right?
And trust me, I did QS 9000 back in automotive days, so I can do.
You can do that.
I can do that.
You can write the playbook in a manual that's in fantasy land, so it's entertaining to read. Use that gift, infuse it all the way into your business. Oh,
yep.
So so if we met a year from now, like next January, or no, God, we're in February.
We are in February.
Oh my God. We're next February. We meet up. What are we celebrating?
We are celebrating being in the black.
Aha. Yeah. Investment paid off.
Yeah. I want to, between the group and my books, I want to be in the black a year from now.
Well, we're going to manifest that shit. We're putting it out there. Universe.
And I have book number 4 coming along.
Ooh.
It's in the works. It's fantasy something or another.
Okay. More dragons. More
dragons.
More magic.
More dragons, fairies, magical things.
Mixed with some detective series.
Right.
And a historical fiction. Like blended all together.
Exactly.
What have you, in this journey and all the stressors that you have learned and getting married and all of that, what have you learned about yourself that really surprised you, if anything?
I truly am as strong as I think I can be.
There you go. Yeah. What's amazing how resilient we can be as entrepreneurs and business owners. I love that. Is there anything that you really like about yourself that you wish other people recognized more? I love asking that question.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a real stumper. I don't know. I guess maybe, the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that I actually have a background in architectural drafting. And, because that goes so well with what I'm doing now. But I did draw I drew the maps at the back of my fantasy book.
Yeah. Probably they might not know how detailed, like truly thorough and creative. Kind of you got 2 parrots on your shoulders.
Yeah, because on one hand, I love drawing. I love hand drawing. But I've been Microsoft certified for all of Office, with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, even Access. So
that takes you back. Chandler's
So,
I have never even heard of that.
Microsoft Access. It is a lovely database program that I absolutely loved working with. And
wasn't that like the foundation of Dynamics? Isn't that what it ended up? Yeah.
Yep.
Becoming. So if you had to sum up your your founder journey in one word, what would that word be?
Roller coaster.
Roller coaster. Yeah. The ups and downs. I think I say this on, I heard this from another founder of, we live in 2 emotions, euphoria or depression. It's always like, we strive
sometimes
for the
it's in the same minute.
Yes, that's right. Like, how do we balance that? We're so, but I think that just shows we're very resilient mindsets and personalities, and because it's not for everybody.
And thankfully my husband, he's a saint. He's got to be to deal with me.
Well, you said he owns his own business too.
Yes.
So he knows.
So it's like there's times I come out of my office and I go, I can't take it anymore. And he's like, what? Oh, this message or this email or and I've given him the synopsis of or even the entire email in like 30 seconds.
Right.
He has no clue what I said. He's like, okay.
Right. Hey, it's good to have somebody that you can vent off of. So good. So if you looked ahead to the next chapter, what word would describe your next chapter?
Actually, I think it would be the same word. I think it would be roller coaster because there's going to be the ups, there's going to be the downs. and it's a matter of how do you handle the downs and how well do you handle the ups. Don't get so caught up in, oh, that went so well and everything's roses.
That's right.
Because it will only be roses for so long, because it's just the natural progression of entrepreneurship.
That's
There's
right.
ups and downs.
That's all it is. So, what piece of advice would you give other entrepreneurs or founders that you found that was helpful for you?
I would say to just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Mm.
Keep going. Don't stop. Um, the one thing I hear from authors is, well, my family hasn't bought my book. Well, guess what? I can count on one hand how many family members have bought my book. I mean, seriously,
You just got to keep
they're
going. Yeah.
not your target audience. So if family members don't get it, and trust me, some of the stuff I've done along the way, some of my family members did not understand it.
Right.
I just kept going.
That's right. That's right.
It's your journey, it's not their journey, and if they don't understand it, well, that's on them, not on you.
That's right. Oh, that's so good. That reminds me, I've talked to so many founders, and they, you find that the circle that you kind of grew up in, or even in your corporate world, that environment, when you get out and running a business and stuff, they're like, I don't understand. I thought you'd have more free, or like, you know. So you almost have to like set boundaries for people to go like, don't bring me that. You just don't. You're never going to understand, or
Yeah.
you're right. Like they're not your target.
Yeah.
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 Oh, this was
But I do love being able to set my own schedule
Yeah, you have
and
so much. We
go,
do have control
you,
on stuff.
it's like, yeah, I can go out and set my own schedule, but that also means that sometimes I'm working late at my desk.
Yeah, that's right.
But the nice thing is I got a really good window next to me here.
Good.
and and we're near the airport, so I get to see all the airplanes. So,
Well, and you're near downtown Greer, which is super
yes.
fun. I love
Oh,
that.
it
I
is
love
so
that
much fun.
downtown. It's so nice. Well, before we are out of time, tell people how can our listeners learn more about you, connect with you, attend one of these wonderful events that you're putting out.
The easiest way is our website, creativeslingersofink.com. And on there, we've got links to our social media. We've got our entire calendar, our awesome online community that has various levels of membership, from free up till our paid authors. So on our website is definitely the catalyst for going
That's
elsewhere.
the portal.
Yeah, we're on. We spend a lot of time on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay.
I do have handles on other social media just to make sure that I have those user
Secured.
IDs.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see me update on
right.
those other platforms as much.
You're feeding Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
Is it under Creative Slingers of Ink? Same handle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, perfect. We will tag everything and put that out there. I am amazed at how fast these conversation goes, and I appreciate you taking time and telling us your journey, and our listeners your journey. This is fantastic. Thank you for coming on, and for all
Thank
of
you
our
for having me.
and for all of our listeners or watchers. Thank you for joining us. This podcast will be available on your favorite podcast platform. So please subscribe to Hello Chaos. Give us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. Share this great content and help us build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are in 3 cities of South Carolina today, looking to expand to other cities near you. Every city needs an Orange Whip. We've designed hyperlocal media platforms to inform, inspire, and be the independent connective tissue between founders and their local entrepreneurial ecosystem. We've done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted place to find the local information they need. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send us an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Thank y'all for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where aha meets oh shit, and we will see you again next week.